In this video, we're taking a look at Go Collect's hottest comics for the week of 3-4. It looks like we got some Silver Age goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle. And in this video, we're taking a look at Go Collect's hottest comics for the week of 3-4. Now, I know what you're thinking. Something looks a little bit different with Swaggle, and you would be right because I'm not in front of my comic book wall. In fact, I'm not even home right now. I'm actually in Vancouver, Canada, traveling for work. So for the next few weeks, I'm going to be filming my comic book videos here, but don't worry, I brought some books with me and I ordered some shelves, so I will be dressing the wall behind me to make it look nice for you guys. And we're still going to have great comic book content. So if you can bear with me for the next few videos, that would be great. All right, but before I get into this video, if you guys could drop me a like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying my content. Love interacting with you guys, and let's keep this conversation going. All right, so now that you know why I'm not in front of my comic book wall, we can get into this video today, which is Go Collect's hottest comics for the week of 3-4. And it's always really, really interesting to take a look at this video with you guys, because for those who don't know, Go Collect puts out a weekly article that analyzes the hottest selling books based on movement in the market and eBay sales data. So this one's always really interesting to see what books have taken a big spike, what the market is hunting as far as speculation, and it's just really, really great to take a look at these with you guys. So let's jump into the article now. And of course, this article is always written by Matt Tuck, which is a great contributor to Go Collect. You can see here the title of the article: Hottest Comics, Biggest Movers for the week of 3-4. I will put a link in the description if you guys want to do the reading yourself. And Matt always has great additional analysis that he has for each of these comic books, but I will weigh in and give you guys mine. So let's start at the bottom, because I always like to work my way up, and this one's a really interesting one, which is at the number 5 spot, Uncanny X-Men number 142, up 945 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the part 2 of the very infamous Days of Future Past storyline within the X-Men run. And what's really, really interesting about this is that 141 and 142 kind of go hand in hand, but 141, generally speaking, I feel like is always sort of the more known book, or the quote unquote winner book, because effectively that's the number one issue when it relates to the storyline itself. Like there's a lot of people out there that might own 141 but not own 142, but I can't imagine that there's too many people who own 142 without 141. So for that reason, they always have gone hand in hand. But surprisingly, 142 is on this list this week. And this one's really cool because I feel like this cover specifically is the more iconic of the two. I mean, I know that might be like controversial to say because both covers are iconic, but for me, the Wolverine getting disintegrated by the Sentinel, I just feel like that is a moment that is just iconic to the X-Men in terms of a visual, and it's really a shame that we didn't actually get that image in the X-Men Days of Future Past movie. But with that said, X-Men 142 is taking a huge leap into the market here. And, I made a video some weeks back where I talked about storyline comic books and their place in terms of value and how they relate to the market. And my takeaway from that was that, storyline comic books, we're talking like Infinity Gauntlet, Secret War, Secret Invasion, those always have a hard time keeping their value because they're only as, desirable as there is pop culture relevance to that storyline. So, when we have Infinity War and Endgame, Infinity Gauntlet is a really sought after book. But once you move past that storyline, there's really no reason for the market to desire that book. So similarly with Days of Future Past, for a time, there was these books 141 and 142 were really, really sought after. But, over the years, as we moved away from that Fox film, these books have slowly started to take a dip. And, now I think they've gone so far down that, there's now a market correction, right? Where people are like, hey, the prices for these are so low, it might be worth just getting my hands on these books. And that's one of the reasons why I think that this book has taken a jump in the market. Also, Matt in the article points out, that things like there's Quicksilver, who was a big, character within the movie storyline. So maybe there's that WandaVision factor that's playing a role. And, generally speaking, X-Men books are just super hot. There's a lot of rumors. We all know that X-Men's coming in the MCU, and this is just an all-time comic book classic as it relates to the X-Men. So for that reason, people are always going to want to get their hands on this book. So X-Men 142 on the number 5 spot. All right, let's move on now to the next pick here. And the next pick is actually going to be Amazing Spider-Man number 194, up 949 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the first appearance of the character Black Cat. And this one is a a really, really cool book, and actually really surprising to me that this one actually fell out of the top 1,000 on Go Collect, because to me, Amazing Spider-Man 194 was actually, one of the better spec books in my opinion. As we take a look at the Sonyverse, we see them, doing movies with Venom. We see them doing movies with Morbius, which is like, that is amazing to me that they were going to pull off a Morbius movie. So we know that Sony is really looking to build out this Sony universe. And so for that reason, all the characters that are within the Amazing Spider-Man run are, licensed to Sony. So, people are always looking at like, who are the characters that could pop up, Man-Wolf, Puma, Madam Web, or, in this particular case, Black Cat. And of all those characters, Black Cat seems like, the most notable of those characters. So it would make a lot of sense that she would become, she would get her own movie, or maybe she would become a part of that universe. So for a long time, this book was speculated as such, but it's surprising to me that it's fallen out. And maybe that just means that, the market has gotten everyone who wanted this book got their hands on it, and then it took a dip, and now, there's a correction back in the market, or there hasn't been enough news because, everything has been pushed with COVID. So, some of the hotter spec books have been pushed down. But regardless, 194 is back into this, the top 1,000 now. And, this is a really, really hot book. And not to mention that, one thing that I really love about this book is this is what I call like the trifecta of the first appearance, where you have the first appearance of the character, they're fully involved in the story, and they have an amazing cover. Anytime you have those three factors for a first appearance of a character, I feel like that book is always going to be desired. And with the Black Cat character being what she is, being as awesome as she is, and the fact that this cover looks the way it does, I mean, it is such an iconic, incredible cover. I feel like this is a book that is always going to be desired. So Amazing Spider-Man 194, back into the top 1,000. So let's move on now to the third pick here. And the third pick is actually a really cool one. This is Tales of Suspense, number 94, up 956 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the first appearance of the character MODOK. And we all know that MODOK is actually getting an animated series. So for that reason, a lot of people have been jumping on this book as of late. There's a lot of excitement about the series. We got a little bit of a teaser of it, but there's been more news and more information that has come out about the show. And I think a lot of people are really excited, which is interesting to me because, typically speaking, it's the live action movies and the live action properties that sort of have the biggest effect on particular spec books and as they move in the market. But with this animated show, people seem to be really, really excited about it. It looks like it's going to be something totally different. It looks like it's going to be, have a lot of comedic sensibilities. And people are generally excited about that. And I think for that reason, people want to get their hands on this MODOK book. And I actually, funny story, sidebar, on my way up to Vancouver, I stopped in a comic book shop and I actually saw this book being sold for $5, but the cover was detached, so I decided to pass on it. And I'm kind of kicking myself now knowing that this book is so hot again. So, that's just a little bit of a regret on my end. But that said, one of the other things I think is really interesting with this book in particular is that for a long time it was rumored that MODOK was going to be the villain of like a movie like Ant-Man 3. There was a lot of speculation that we might see AIM in the Ant-Man films, and therefore MODOK, who runs AIM, might be present in that movie. And for that reason, this book has always sort of been hot, but there's been a lot. Now that we know that Quantum Mania is going to be Kang the Conqueror, a lot of people have sort of moved away from that speculation of MODOK being in the MCU. But because we have the animated show, people still are jumping on this book. So maybe that's why this book had fell out of the top 1,000 for a long time, because people knew that Kang was coming and not MODOK. But now that the animated show is on its way, people are getting excited again and wanting to jump on this book. All right, let's go on now to the second pick. And the second book pick here is actually really cool. This is a DC book. We have Justice League of America, number 9, up 957 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the origin of the Justice League. Now, one thing that's really, really interesting as I look at, books that are always hot in the spec market and books that people are jumping on, what do we typically see? We see first appearances, we see second appearances, and one of the other things that we see a lot of are origins. And origins seem like they're really, really desirable affordable by people, because, you know, I think that Origins, in a way, you know, can satisfy that same desirability of a first appearance, where you feel like you're getting, you know, the true story behind, you know, some of these characters. And with the excitement that is surrounding, you know, the Snyder cut for the Justice League, we know that we're going to get that at some point soon. I think people are really hunting these Justice League books. You know, they're looking for first appearance of Darkseid. They're looking for, you know, first appearance of these characters. And now Justice League #9, being that this is an origin of the team, it seems like that this is going to be, you know, sort of that consolation prize for people who can't actually get the first appearance of Justice League. And let me just tell you right now, the first appearance of Justice League, that book is not an easy one to get your hands on. I mean, it's going to run you a lot of money. So this is a great sort of secondary consolation prize, which is the origin story. So Justice League of America #9 has definitely found its way onto the Go Collect's hottest comics for the week of 3-4. All right, let's move on now to the #1 book here, which is going to be Iron Man and Submariner #1, up 992 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the time when Tales to Astonish and Tales of Suspense actually merged and would then go on to launch the individual series of all of the sort of notable characters within Marvel. So this particular book right here was when we saw the Tales of Suspense Iron Man storyline converge with the Tales to Astonish Submariner storyline, and they did sort of a one-shot, one-time book here, which is called Iron Man and Submariner #1, where they would do their sort of, as you can see there on the stamp, special once-in-a-lifetime issue. And this would then launch into their solo runs, which is Iron Man #1 and Submariner #1, where you would see the big premiere issue on the label. And this one is really interesting because this book in particular predates Iron Man #1 and Submariner #1, and those particular books have always been desired. And we know that Iron Man #1 has really shot up over the last couple of years. I mean, you know, if you can't get your hands on Tales of Suspense #39, Iron Man #1 is definitely the book to own if you are a fan of Iron Man. And similarly, Submariner #1, his big premiere issue, has always been a desired book. And if we ever get Namor or, you know, Submariner in the MCU, which, you know, a lot of people feel like we are going to get him, I'm telling you right now, that big premiere #1 issue book, the Submariner one, that one has a huge ceiling to get to, because a lot of people are going to be desiring that book, especially since his true first appearances, you know, the ones that are in the Fantastic Four books and even earlier than that, those are, you know, like the Justice League one, the numbers are so high that it's going to be really hard for a lot of people in the market to get their hands on it. So the Submariner #1 big premiere issue is going to be, you know, sort of that go-to desired book, and it already is high, which leads us back to this book, Iron Man and Submariner #1, because this is something that I think, you know, if you're a fan of one of these characters or you want to own a classic Silver Age book, this is one of the best, most affordable books that you can get your hands on. You know, I think that there are good deals out there, as I've seen on eBay, and it looks like now the market is finally catching up to this book. You know, because for a long time, this book, you know, I guess, you know, people were seeking this thing, but it had fallen out of the top 1,000, and now it's coming in with a, you know, with a lot of desirability. And, you know, look at the cover right here. This is just a striking book to own in your collection, and it's got a lot of things going for it. It predates Iron Man #1, predates Submariner #1. If you're speccing on Submariner in any kind of way, which seems like the market is always doing, this is a great issue to own. And for that reason, I think Iron Man and Submariner #1 is the hottest comic on this list for hottest comics in the week of 3-4. So anyways, that is all I have for this video. Those were the hottest comics for the week of 3-4. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys own any of these books? I'm definitely kicking myself for not picking up that first appearance of MODOK for $5. I definitely feel like I made a mistake, although it was a detached cover, so I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Drop me a like, comment, subscribe if you guys are enjoying this content. Hopefully you guys don't mind, you know, me not having comic books behind me. Bear with me. I'm going to make this thing look really nice over the next few videos. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.